The grouping of 11th, Amy and Rory are highly regarded as one of the greatest TARDIS teams in the show's history. Played by Karen Gillan, Amy became an instant hit with fans, and her tenure is heavily praised for the enthusiasm she brought to the role, as well as clear chemistry with co-stars Smith and Arthur Darvill. However, as is very common for Doctor Who companions, Amy has made some questionable decisions during her TARDIS adventures. With that in mind then, I'm Ellie with Who Culture, and these are the 10 worst things Amy Pond has ever done. Number 10. Wearing a skirt, space and time. Now, this entry may be a little unfair on Amy's choice of outfit, a rather short skirt, but this choice could have led to a significant space-time catastrophe. As a part of Series 6, 2011 saw several mini-episodes filmed aboard the TARDIS, filling in little adventures between the main episodes. Two such minisodes were Space and Time. This two-part short story saw Rory assisting the Doctor with TARDIS repairs when something goes wrong, and so the TARDIS materializes at the nearest safe place. The issue is the nearest safe place is within the TARDIS itself. This results in a Logopolis-type situation where there are two TARDISes within one another. But what has this got to do with Amy's skirt? Well, the 11th Doctor's first TARDIS is a beautiful design, part of which is a glass floor raising the console up above the maintenance section, where Rory is. So, without obviously going into too much detail, our dear Rory looks up to the Doctor and Amy wearing the skirt in question, and as a result, Mr. Williams drops a thermocoupling, setting the events of the minisode in motion. Once everything starts going pear-shaped, Amy even apologizes to the Doctor, saying it was my skirt and my husband and your glass floor, which of course takes our innocent 11th Doctor a few seconds to catch on to. As it is Doctor Who, in the end all is resolved, but the Doctor does insist Amy put some trousers on. Number 9. Pressing the wrong button, the girl who waited. Again, maybe not a situation that Amy could have helped, but it is a mistake which could have easily been avoided and stopped a whole chain of awful events taking place. Series 6 The Girl Who Waited ends with one of the most tragic ends to a Doctor Who story, and it all revolves around one choice. Quickly summing up how the events of the story kicks off, the TARDIS arrives at the Two Streams facility, and the Doctor and Rory wander off, and are presented with two buttons, Red Waterfall and Green Anchor. Rory chooses the Green Anchor and waits in a room with the Doctor. Amy then comes out from the TARDIS after looking for her phone and is presented with the same two buttons. She asks what to do and is simply told, press the button, resulting in her choosing Red Waterfall, leaving her in a room completely different to the boys. As a result, the episode tragically plays out and will be addressed properly in a later entry. But these events didn't need to happen. Okay, yes, equal blame could be given to Rory and the Doctor for not specifically telling Amy which button to press, but equally she could have asked more specifically. This may not sound like a grave action, but those who know the episode will definitely feel this tragedy could have been avoided. Didn't your parents or Aunt Sharon tell you not to randomly press buttons, Amelia? Number 8. Reckless decision-making, the Beast Below. The Beast Below is Amy's first trip in the TARDIS, picking up directly from her and the Doctor's departure in the closing scene of the 11th hour, and straight away she's making decisions with potentially awful consequences. With the revelation that the Starship UK is being transported through a tortured star whale, the Doctor is left with a decision to see if he can save the creature or as harmlessly as possible put the creature out of its misery. As is a theme throughout the story, there are two buttons with two options, this time presented to Liz 10. She can either abdicate, releasing the creature, or get on with the way things are, going with no memory, but Liz doesn't make this choice. Amy sees that the star whale is kind to the children, and believes that it is here by its own free will. As a result of her theory, she makes Liz abdicate, and the torture of the beast halts, potentially leaving Starship UK to be destroyed. With that, the ship rumbles, but then stops. The star whale continues to help the ship travel through space. So whilst it all worked out for the best in the end, there is no way Amy could have been certain her actions would end as positively as they did. What if they didn't? Well, the whole of Starship UK would have been destroyed, killing the entirety of the population of England, Wales and Northern Ireland, but not Scotland. They wanted their own ship. That's two entries in a row where Amy is making questionable decisions with buttons. Thankfully, this one was the right choice, but the alternative would have been horrific. Number 7. Not properly talking to Rory, Asylum of the Daleks. Series 7A features the last 5 episodes to show Amy and Rory travelling with the Doctor. By this point, after Series 6, the couple from Ledworth travel more on a now-and-then basis. But as shown in prequel minisode Pond Life, something is wrong with Amy and Rory. When we are first reintroduced to Amy and Rory for the series, Amy is at a modelling job, and after being told her husband is here, she heartbreakingly replies, "I don't have a husband." Going to her dressing room, she is met by Rory, who is waiting for her to sign divorce papers. The story goes on, and the two are separately captured by the Daleks and taken to their parliament, before being sent into the titular Dalek asylum along with the Doctor. Later in the story, whilst the Doctor is off trying to collect Oswin, the Ponds, or really Williamses, begin to discuss why they are separating. Rory reveals Amy kicked him out. The couple argue and Amy breaks down, revealing she did not kick him out, rather she gave him up. We learn Rory has always wanted kids, and after whatever was done to her at Demon's Run last series, Amy can no longer get pregnant. Everything gets more emotional before they discover Amy has the Doctor's bracelet and so is now safe. Now waiting for the Doctor and the asylum beginning to be destroyed, Rory asks how long they can wait to teleport off. To that, Amy responds, "For the rest of our lives." They kiss and seemingly everything's okay again by the end of the episode. Whether a slightly rushed script element or not, it cannot be said whether the two would have reached the stage of near divorce if they would have actually spoken to each other properly rather than the argument and storming off that we were shown. Number 6. Not saving herself, the girl who waited. We've already mentioned The Girl Who Waited and the first questionable decision of the episode, but moving on from that is another questionable decision. By Amy entering the Two Streams facility by the alternative button, she finds herself on a faster time track. When Rory finally gets into the facility, Amy has waited for 36 years and has totally changed and grown whilst trapped. Eventually, the Doctor and the gang get a plan to restore their younger Amy and get her out of the facility. However, in doing so, the Doctor convinces older Amy that he can save them both, allowing them both to live. However, time doesn't work like that. You remove younger Amy, then older Amy can never exist, and in the end, older Amy realises this. Knowing she will cease to exist, older Amy demands to be taken with the Doctor and Rory, rather than giving back the younger version of herself. If you think about it, it's not out of Amy's character. She's been through so much, you can understand why she would be selfish about this matter, but she would also know that a happier Amy would take her place. This poor older Amy has lived alone with a robot companion for 36 years. Why would she not want the proper life with her husband and best friend for her younger self? In the end, this could come down to a wanting to survive, but when you know you could give yourself a better life, would you take it? Who knows? Number 5. Kissing the Doctor the night before her wedding, Flesh and Stone. This is the big one for a lot of people really, but let's get inside Amy's head for a minute. Amy has just been through an ordeal. The Doctor, Amy, River and the clerics have just climbed out of Byzantium, in which Amy had an angel in her mind and had to climb out with her eyes shut, or did she? For anyone, that seems pretty traumatic. After this, she asks to go home and show the Doctor what she's running from, returning to Amy's bedroom the night before her wedding. She reveals the dress and engagement ring to him, saying that this is what she ran away from during the closing moments of the 11th hour. After this, Amy tells the Doctor that she needs comforting and proceeds to make advances on him. He tells her that he is 907 years old and that this wouldn't work out, but still she continues to try it. In the end, as we all know, Amy kisses and tries to undress an awkward 11, and even jokes at the fact that he considers this more than just a one-night stand. Realising the incoming date of the 26th of the 6th, 2010, he quickly collects Amy and hurries them into the TARDIS to avoid the incoming temporal explosion, which she believes to be a further advancement. And with that, the episode closes. Most people may personally feel this is the worst thing Amy ever did, and maybe it is. Cheating the night before her wedding night to one of the Doctor's most precious companions, Rory, for some weakens Amy's character, but maybe it's not that deep, and the rest of the entries on this list are far worse than a bit of a snog with her Raggedy Man. Number 4. Shooting the Astronaut, the Impossible Astronaut. The 6th series of New Who begins with The Impossible Astronaut, which kicks off the timey-wimey story arc of the events which take place at Lake Silencio. In these opening moments, Amy, amongst others, witnesses an astronaut step out of the lake and seemingly kill the 11th Doctor. Jump forward in time to the closing moments of the story, where the TARDIS team go back in time to the year of the moon. Amy and a younger 11th Doctor are met by the same astronaut. In a heated cliffhanger, the astronaut approaches and Amy picks up a gun. Whilst busy picking up up the gun, the astronaut lifts its mask, revealing a little girl. But Amy instantly fires the gun before even realizing this, trying to eliminate the potential threat to her friend without second thought. Obviously, guns are not something the Doctor approves of, and so when asked what she is doing, Amy simply responds, "Saving your life." Later in the series, the audience learns that the person inside the suit is actually Amy and Rory's daughter, who grew up without her parents. So that's some potential trauma for you, with your first meeting with your mum being her taking a headshot at you. Thankfully, Amy is an appalling shot and misses the little girl and simply damages the suit. We know Amy takes this drastic action to save her friend, but it is another example where she seems to act before any thought. But again, luckily this does not come to any horrific ramifications. Number 3. Risking time and space for her husband, the Angels take Manhattan. Amy and Rory's departure from the show comes in the form of a clash with the Weeping Angels in the series 7A finale. This is maybe an incredibly sweet moment, but was also potentially catastrophic. After already having thrown themselves off a block of flats to crash a timeline in which Rory is previously got by the Angels, the couple reawaken in a graveyard along with the Doctor, River and the TARDIS. But this graveyard has popped up in the episode before, and we're left to wonder its significance. Well, here it comes. When the team wanders back into the TARDIS, Rory spots a gravestone with the same name as his. Zap! An angel gets him, and once again he's sent back in time, to the horror of his wife, asking if once again they can go back in the TARDIS and collect him, but apparently another such trip would rip the universe in half. Thinking there is room on the gravestone for another name, Amy decides to make what could be considered an ultimate sacrifice. After the various escapades of the episode, creating paradoxes to stop the angels, Amy decides to create a fixed point in time by letting the angel touch her too, and find herself in the same time as her dear husband. Taking time and space into her own hands for the man she loves does seem very much in Amy's character, whether it is the wrong thing or not. Either way, it's a moment that really breaks the 11th Doctor. Number 2. Killing Madame Kovarian in cold blood, the wedding of River's song. But you'll still save me though, because he would. And you'd never do anything to disappoint your precious Doctor. That's a quote from Madame Kovarian, seconds before being killed by Amy in the Series 6 finale. As you should already know, Series 6 is a beast of a story when it comes to its series arc, all coming to a conclusion in a timeline where River refuses to kill the Doctor. In the closing moments of this story, all our heroes present are doing Nick Fury impressions by wearing eye patches, or eye drives rather, which they believe allows them to view the silence. However, these turn out to simply be a ruse, and the eye drives turn on their wearers as they begin zapping them. Madame Kovarian, believing she is in charge of the silence, thinks herself safe from this massacre, incorrectly. Kovarian's drive begins twitching too, leaving her also to get zapped. In order for the Doctor, River and Amy to escape, Rory stays behind, keeping his eye drive on to defend them from the incoming silence. As they burst through, Rory goes down from the pain of the deadly eye drive, about to die once again, until Amy returns with a machine gun and mows the incoming silence down. Brutal but justifiable to save the man she loves in another timeline. What isn't so justifiable is her actions towards Madame Kovarian. Amy goes over to the still conscious Kovarian, has a little exchange with her over what she'd done to her daughter, and reapplies the eye drive firmly, allowing it to kill her as she casually walks off. Yes, Kovarian turned Amy's daughter into a psychopath, but is casually murdering someone in her character? Maybe. Number 1. Rory Williams or the Doctor. When we first meet adult Amy Pond, we learn that her first encounter with the Doctor when she was younger left quite the impression. The little girl from Ledworth had everything from custom figures of the Doctor and the TARDIS to making her future husband dress up in cosplay of him. But a thread of Amy's character, especially in her first 2 series, is whether the Doctor or Rory was more important to her. Yes, both characters were significant in her life from a young age, but were both vastly different from one another. As shown by a previous entry on this list, in the end Amy risks time itself. But before that, Rory still questioned their relationship. Most of us know what it's like to be compared to someone else, but imagine that person is a 1,200-year-old Time Lord. How does one live up to that? Particular examples include Vampires in Venice and The Day of the Moon, where Rory feels totally overlooked compared to the Doctor. An argument can be made that Rory is very insecure about the situation and should simply trust his fiancée. However, we've all seen the 11th hour to The Angels Take Manhattan, and whilst we do see the couple grow, we also see Rory get unfairly treated from time to time. Technically, the Williams get their happily ever after, but her early treatment of Rory is largely wrong. Amy is an exceptional companion, but just not always the best person, especially to her Rory. And that concludes our list. If you can think of anything else, then please let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. I've been Ellie with Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.